High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
a clash of styles, out in Setauket. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring.
Leads us in prayer and the singing of our national anthem.
These men and women have given so much to us and allow us to live in a country that is free and allows us to do what we're going to do tonight. So welcome everyone to this wonderful football game. We welcome our guests from Chaminade and we welcome all of our Friar family. Let us place ourselves in God's presence. We are the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, bless these teams. Bless the players, the coaches, the fans, especially the parents who give so much. May we all realize how blessed we are to not only live in a country where freedom reigns, but to live in a country where God is allowed to be proclaimed daily. And so together, let us say the prayer that Jesus Christ himself has taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Saint Anthony, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Donnelly Field on the campus of St. Anthony's High School for tonight's Catholic AAA semifinal, presented by Maspeth Federal Savings Bank, featuring the fourth-seeded Flyers of Chaminade, who come in with a 5-4 overall record, and the top-seeded Friars of St. Anthony's, 8-1 on the season, undefeated in Catholic League play. Dylan Butler here with Pat Godfrey. We welcome you to an electric atmosphere here in South Huntington. And Pat, we were here for week 1. We close out St. Anthony's home slate of the season with the same matchup. We expect, though, tonight to likely be a closer game than that 35-10 Week 1 win for the Friars.
Absolutely. It's always a ton of fun when these two programs get together, and I think Chaminade's going to have a little chip on their shoulder. Didn't come out here and perform the way that they wanted to early on in the regular season. Here tonight have a chance at redemption. They've been playing really good football recently and hoping to slay Goliath, being the St. Anthony's Friars.
Chaminade comes in off an emotional, incredible victory over Kellenberg, 19-17 in Week 9, where Matt Diegas was 10 of 14 for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jack Tully had 13 carries for 107 yards, but the big play of the game was by Pat Bruno, a 22-yard reception, his lone reception of the game as time expired to give Chaminade the win. We'll take a look at their players to watch here today, and it'll be big towards their keys, right? Chaminade wants to keep possession. They want to move the clock, and Jack Tully will be a big part of that. You see his numbers there, 148 carries for 782 yards and 5 touchdowns. And defensively, we've talked about Charlie Battaglia all year. Maybe we haven't spoken about Ben Mann enough. He's the kid they nicknamed Quadzilla. See his tackles on the year, 66. He had 11 in that win against Kellenberg, 3 for losses and 2 sacks on the game as well.
Absolutely. Tully, the junior running back, is really going to be depended on by this Flyers offense to keep things going. They're going to really look to eat up time of possession and keep Dante Torres off the field as much as they can tonight, and then definitely going to be relying on the defensive side of the ball on Ben Mann. He's a big-time Cortland and Ithaca recruit, so anybody who turned into Cortica today, keep an eye on number 46, and he's just been incredibly productive all year. Going to need to have a big night to come out of here victorious.
The Friars, a week ago, they beat Christ the King here, 57-42. Dante Torres, their quarterback, was nearly perfect. 19 of 20 for 369 yards and 5 touchdowns. He rushed for a pair of scores as well. And what we do know about St. Anthony's is they've got a prolific attack and a terrific defense as well. Let's take a look at some of their players to watch here as well. Listen, this is the money part of the season. We got to go with the big guns, right? KJ Duff. You see his numbers on the year again. He was banged up. He missed a good chunk of the regular season there as well. Those numbers would have been probably double that. And Ian Strong as well, the Rutgers commit, doing it on both sides of the football this year.
Yeah, and only right that these guys are getting to show off what they got on Saturday night, because you're going to be seeing these guys on Saturdays for years to come. Both Power 5 recruits in their own right, both dynamic, big difference makers for St. Anthony's, and look for both to really play key parts. They're hoping to advance to Mitchell Field next week.
St. Anthony's won the toss. They deferred to the second half, so the Friars will kick off. The AAA semifinals underway under the lights here at Cy Donnelly Field. Short return, so Matt Diegas will bring the Flyers offense onto the field, and Diegas has been phenomenal this year. So efficient as well. You see his numbers, 89 of 163 for 1,228 yards, 13 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Also rushed for a touchdown and 276 yards. Well, he's playing his best football right now, though, at the money part of the season.
Absolutely. Matt Diegas, really efficient quarterback. He's also a Fordham baseball commit, and I think you'll see kind of that arm talent on display. He really has a knack for slinging the football, and he's going to have a big night tonight.
Chaminade, 1st and 10 from their own 18. Short run up the middle. Let's meet the Chaminade offense. Their starting lineup presented by Catholic Health. You've got Diegas, Tully, Cerrone, Creo, Bruno, and Carroll up front. Laudit, Cottagio, Dietrich, Rinaldi, and Burmis for the Flyers. That was a gain of 1 on 1st down, as it's now Diegas with an empty backfield.
Going to be important for Chaminade to establish some rhythm here early on.
You got trips right. Diegas throws long. That's complete to Creo, and he's pulled down at the 50 by Jaden Jenkins.
And this is a thing of beauty right here. You'll see Matt Dieguez, some good protection, steps up in the pocket, and just delivers an absolute strike to Gavin Creo. Creo's a Richmond lax commit, but don't let that fool you. He's a hell of a football player. And getting some separation on that St. Anthony's defensive backfield.
So Flyers, their fans loving it. Their students. 1st and 10 from the 50. Dieguez, plenty of time, goes over the middle again, and it's another completion. Creo once again.
Last couple plays, just a testament to the connection that Matt Dieguez and Gavin Creo share. He's hit him 48 times on the year already, and those guys are always in sync.
Creo, a captain, slot receiver, doesn't have that receiver size like we see some of these cats at St. Anthony's, right? But, man, he is a gamer. 1st and 10 from the Friars' 34-yard line. Creo motions. Dieguez calls his own number, runs towards his Chaminade sideline, and he will get out of bounds. Good run by Dieguez.
Really, really nice pull block there as well by number 56, your right guard, Nick Rinaldi, leading the way for Dieguez, seals off that edge. And don't look now, but Chaminade, opening drive, looking to really make a statement out the gate.
Yeah, they are getting yards at a clip, man. 1st and 10 now from the St. Anthony's 20. They're taking, it seems like, what St. Anthony's does and shoving it right up the Friars' mouth there. Here's Dieguez. This is an incomplete pass. The intended target was Cerrone. This gives us an opportunity to take a look at the St. Anthony's starting defense presented by Catholic Health. Up front, it's Mackel, Carey, Dunn, and Cook. Your linebackers are Strong, DiChiero, Goldstein. You've got Platt and Jenkins as your corners, and Miles and Spina at the safety positions. 2nd and 10 from the 21-yard line for the Flyers.
Chaminade marching down near the student section of St. Anthony's, about to get loud.
Yeah, that is filling up as we speak. Dieguez fumbles the handoff, slings it towards this near sideline. What a smart play there by Dieguez, man. We were saying off camera, Pat, I was really impressed with his arm strength. Obviously, he's a Fordham baseball commit, and there I was also impressed by his football IQ there.
Oh, 100%. You know, that's something that's kind of underrated is just, you know, do you have the arm strength to sometimes avoid the intentional grounding? And, you know, Thomas Mackel was back there in a hurry. Dieguez used some of that elusivity and is able to get the ball off, avoid a big, negative play.
So here we go, 3rd and 10. Should be in Tomlinson range should they look for a field goal, but obviously the Flyers want more. Whoa, man. Blown up on the play was Tully.
And that's Jojo DiChiero, that active inside linebacker on this Friar D. He's had over 70 tackles this season, and he's really a guy who St. Anthony's leans on heavy. Right there, shoots the gap, and incredible timing on 3rd down to stymie that Chaminade drive.
Ends up for a loss, so it's a 4th and 14 from the 25-yard line, which will set up a 42-yard attempt here for Tim Tomlinson. Snap is good. Tomlinson, he has the distance, and his kick is good. So Chaminade draws first blood, 42-yard kick for them. And one thing to note about Chaminade is they are a team that is looking to continue this momentum, and they've got a lot of dual sport guys, and we'll send it down to the field for our John Perez with more about the emotions for the Flyers coming into this one.
Guys, when we spoke to Kevin Dolan earlier this week, he said that when Chaminade started the year 0-3, they had a choice to make. Are they going to remember their senior year on the good end or the bad end? And he said that it was up to the coaching staff to really lean into the players. And two players that really leaned into that message was Gavin Creo and Matt Dieguez. You saw them hook up on that first offensive drive. And the last few weeks, they've had some really impassioned speeches for the pregame meetings. And over the last few weeks, it's even led to tears and such firepower that it's inspired the crew, and certainly was the case in their win over Kellenberg. And the quote of the night was, "Lacrosse and baseball are our sports. What we do best," says Diegues and Creo, "but there's nothing like playing high school football." Guys, back to you.
Thanks, John. Obviously, a lot of emotions, as John detailed. Gavin Creo, Matt Diegues, guys who will go on and play a different sport in college with an emotional plea to their team to continue this. And this is another part of Tim Tomlinson's game that is huge, man, the touchbacks. So St. Anthony's will have to start from their own 20, but if there's a guy to lead them the distance, it is number 3. There you see him on your screen, Dante Torres. How about this for a senior year? He is completing a ridiculous 68% of his passes, 2,600 yards, 28 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He's also run for 8 touchdowns, the Fordham University commit.
You know, Dylan, one of the things that I've always admired about Dante Torres is his ability to keep his eyes downfield as he scrambles back there. He's a guy who's quick, elusive, and can buy a lot of extra time to give these guys like KJ Duff, the opportunity to keep working through routes and get open.
1st and 10 for the Friars from their own 20-yard line. Dante calls his own number, and a solid tackle there as well. Looks like that was Nick Marino. Let's take a look at the St. Anthony's starters on offense presented by Catholic Health. Joining Dante at running back is Ruda. Your receivers are Matos, Longo, Mengi, and Duff. Chanchuli, Novelli, Dowling, Oliva, and Murphy are your big guys up front. 2nd and 11, and a big run by Frank Ruda. And that moves the chains, Pat, for the Friars.
Frank Ruda has just been such an invaluable guy for this St. Anthony's offense and just continues right there. I mean, looking at it, almost 9 yards a carry all season long. Just incredible production, 27.
Really high snap, forces Torres to push himself forward. He'll get a few there on 1st down. Let's take a look at the starting defense for Chaminade, presented by Catholic Health. Aquilina, Ventura, and Pinto up front. Your linebacking core of Mann, Battaglia, Rappa, and Miller. Marshall and Friel are your corners, and Maggio and Marino at safeties. Another high snap. Ruda with the run up the middle. And you wouldn't expect this, I think, in week 10, right, of the season. 8 regular season games, 2nd playoff game, but some errors there from Dowling to Torres.
Dylan, I'll tell you, as a former center, sometimes that can be just the smallest of little issues in your stance that cause that ball to rise. Sometimes you just got to get your butt down if you're Billy Dowling, and they're really going to need to clean that up on this St. Anthony's offense.
That one is good. 3rd and 6. Quickly to Morant out of the backfield. Pushes himself towards the 45-yard line, and he'll move the chains as Darius Morant gets a 1st down for the Friars.
Gotta love that awareness, too, from the senior running back. Knows where the sticks are. So you'll see as soon as he gets this ball, he gets his shoulder down, lunges forward, and gets to the sticks.
Up the middle goes Morant again, inside the 40. And you can see early on here that St. Anthony's, Pat, looking to play with a tempo, looking to really move the ball quickly.
No doubt, Chaminade on their heels right now on defense. They're going to need some of those big linebackers to step up right here against the run.
Another high snap, fielded well by Torres, and the ball goes again to Morant. It's a 2nd and 4, so the Friars moving down the field like the Flyers did on their first possession. 2nd and 4. Dante over the middle to KJ Duff, and he is hammered. The hit was laid down by Mike Maggio. Duff, you saw there, bobble the football, but Maggio was taking nothing for granted there.
And if you were wondering whether or not this Chaminade D remembers their opening game at Cy Donnelly Field and what KJ Duff did, just look at that hit right there. Really just bringing the wood for Maggio.
3rd and 5. Fake by Torres. Bounces it to the outside. Knows exactly where the stick is, and he'll get the first down.
You know, the running ability of Dante Torres is just another wrinkle that keeps you honest when you're playing defense against St. Anthony's. They got so many different weapons that you're trying to cover, trying to sit back and cover in man coverage, and then Dante Torres will just take off and beat you that way.
1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. Torres, plenty of time, goes end zone, in and out of the hands of Ian Strong.
It's a really good job there by John Marshall, playing one-on-one coverage against Ian Strong. And that play, the junior is able to break it up. You'll see you got Duff and Ian Strong both in the same area. And number 35 just times that perfectly, John Marshall, to break it up.
Kind of almost like they were running the same route there, Duff and
hey, I mean,
and Strong.
Two guys at 6'5", I guess that's pretty good odds of coming down with it.
2nd and 10. Handoff to Ruda. Runs the right side. And I'll tell you, man, you need to effectively run the football, especially to win playoff games. And Ruda and Morant, they've been that great 1-2 combination all year long, and especially true here in November.
Absolutely. You know, Ruda always a guy who's had a knack for finding the end zone also. They love calling his number once they get down into this red zone.
3rd and 2. Ball at the 20-yard line. And some motion, some movement. Look like on the offense, referee Chris Atchison with the call. It's a procedure penalty against the offense, which will back St. Anthony's up 5 more yards.
Worth noting the way that they're marching with the ball. They're right next to the Chaminade student section that's getting loud and rowdy right now. So even though there's a home game for St. Anthony's, still have to deal with a little bit of noise on offense.
3rd and 7. Ruda positions himself to the right hip of Torres. Takes the handoff, cuts it back up the middle, lunges forward, trying to get toward that stick. He'll be shy, though, of the first down marker.
A couple of those senior backers, Battaglia and Rappa, in on that tackle, and this is going to be a close one.
Yeah, they'll bring out the chain crew for the measurement. Winner of this game takes on the Gales of Iona Prep. Iona defeating their rival, Archbishop Stepanak, this afternoon at home.
Iona looks like one of the best teams we've seen in a long time in this New York Catholic League. Obviously dropped a regular season game to St. Anthony's, so the number 2 seed coming into the playoffs, but Iona's scary for whoever has to face them next week.
4th and short. So big opportunity here for St. Anthony's. You see Mengi in. You've got twin receivers at the bottom of your screen, and there you see the running back situation. It's Ruda behind Torres. 4th and 1. A first down and more. Ruda towards the end zone. Touchdown, St. Anthony's.
Dylan, we said it, Frank Ruda, once you get into that red zone, make sure to keep an eye on number 27. He's got a nose for the end zone, and right here on 4th and 1, just follows his blockers. They seal off the edge right there, and then once Ruda gets close to that end zone, he won't be denied. He lunges forward for number 10 on the year.
He pulled John Marshall with him for those final 3 yards. And now Griffin Goldstein on for the point after attempt. That is up, and it is good. So the Friars of St. Anthony's responds to that opening field goal for Chaminade, and they take a 7-3 lead. You're watching this Catholic Football League semifinal showdown presented by Maspeth Federal Savings right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Maspeth Federal Savings is here through it all. The ins and outs, the ups and downs. Through the winters, the summers, and even the spring of leaks. Know that Maspeth has your back. From luxury sheets to balance sheets to dancing under the stars, your mission is our mission. And when our community calls, we proudly step forward. So whether you need it now or planning for tomorrow, through all the twists and all the turns, you can always find us right here in your neighborhood.
We welcome you back to Cy Donnelly Field. Dylan Butler, Pat Godfrey here with you for this CHSFL AAA semifinal. And it's the Friars with an early 7-3 lead.
Great drive by St. Anthony's there, punctuated by the beautiful run by Frank Ruda for the touchdown.
Quality return here, too, from the 5-yard line for Gavin Creo. And, man, Creo is doing a little bit of everything. In Chaminade's first drive, Creo had 2 receptions for 46 yards, and really economical from Matt Diegues was 2 of 4 for 46 yards. He also had 1 carry for 19 yards, and Tully also had a pair of carries as well.
I mean, looking at guys like Diegues and Creo tonight, we know how much this rivalry means when you go to Chaminade. You go to Chaminade to try and beat St. Anthony's on nights like tonight. These guys are seniors. They've got some demons they want to put to bed, and they're playing like it.
1st and 10 from the Chaminade 35-yard line. Diegues takes it himself after motioning Cerrone the other way. And he'll get a short gain.
Really nice pull block here by your left guard, number 58, Lucas Catasio. Does a really, really good job kicking out the end, giving Diegues some room to run.
Catasio, just the sophomore, one of those Massapequa Mustang kids, 6'1", 250 for Catasio. Surrounded by seniors. You've got Lauditz to his left. You've got Dietrich at center to his right. Gain of 3. 2nd and 7 from the 38-yard line. Low snap, and it's actually Tully who was fortunate. So we've seen snapping miscues for both teams early on. That one was nearly a disaster for Chaminade. Thankfully for them, though, Tully was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you can't see from that angle, but it looked like Mason Dietrich, the center for Chaminade, had big old Preston Carey lined up, head up on him. Preston Carey, obviously a blue-chip recruit, 6'5", 270 freshman, so maybe a little bit of those jitters impacted that snap.
A loss there, so it's 3rd and 13. Diegues, the pressure comes again, slings it towards that far sideline, and that's a no-fly zone where Ian Strong is anywhere near there. So Chaminade will have to go 3 and out.
You know, not the response they were looking for on the heels of that incredible drive by the St. Anthony's O. But bring on your punter, try and flip this field right here, and go back to the drawing board.
You mentioned Preston Carey, the 6'5", 270-pound freshman. Offers include LSU, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Rutgers, Georgia.
Not too bad.
Not too bad for a kid who just walked into school a couple months ago. Nearly blocked. The ball deflected. No flag because of the deflection. So Chaminade walking a tightrope early on. They end up just downing this one, but it could have been a lot worse.
And that's a really good job right there by that punter, Tim Tomlinson. You know, he's already been a major impact player, hitting the 42-yard field goal, and just being able to get that off and walk off the field is a win.
There's big Preston. You see number 99.
And he's not the kind of guy you want to block one-on-one all day. Look for Chaminade to use up some double teams on big number 99.
Yeah, on the year, carry with 48 tackles out of that defensive tackle position. That is not easy to do. 1st and 10 for St. Anthony's from their own 36. Torres spins, cuts it upfield, and slides right towards the 50-yard line. Man, legs like a gazelle. That's what you get at 6'4", 190.
Yeah, Dante Torres, just a long strider. Play action here, and they give him the run-pass option. Here he elects to run the ball. It pays off.
Another rush up the middle.
Nice tackle there by Matt Rappa, senior, leading tackler here at Chaminade with 90 on the year. Had a really good year so far. I know he's been getting some interest from Towson.
Another high snap. Morant with the carry. His 2nd in a row. Bounces it to the outside. Darius Morant will get to the 35-yard line and move the chains.
You know, I feel like both these guys, Morant and Ruda, are just a product of the competition they've been going up against for so many years. They pushed one another to become better. They've been very supportive as a two-headed monster back there, and both guys really contributing early on.
Morant trying to duck under. Looks like he'll get hit with a no gain, but you're right. Listen, look at the numbers for the two. Morant, 91 carries, 493 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Also 10 receptions for 116. And you go to Ruda, 82 carries, 722 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 receptions for 52 yards. So their touches are nearly identical, which is hard to do at this time of the year. Morant pushes forward to about the 31-yard line.
Yeah, and I mean, both guys, when they're in there, really run the ball like they're about to get pulled out. Morant averaging over 5 yards a carry, Ruda over 8 yards a carry. So these guys really making the most out of the touches they do get.
Torres. Oh, fantastic block. Gets pulled down inside the 10. Give Ian Strong the credit for that upfield block, man.
Jeez, and if it weren't for a shoestring tackle by Nick Marino there, we'd be looking at 14-0. You see, this is just another instance of Dante Torres using that dual threat capability.
Watch 5. He was going so fast there, you just lost him, but
just a blur on the screen.
So 1st and goal from the 9. Morant up the middle, pulled backwards. And that's one of those two where you saw 46 on the play, Benny Mann. He was not letting go of Darius Morant.
Yeah, it looks like the defensive end, Claudio Pinto, was also in on that one. Real important here for Chaminade to buckle down, try and limit the damage. If they're able to keep St. Anthony's out of the end zone, remains a one-score game.
2nd and goal from the 6. Morant, the handoff, up the middle. And that stout front 7 of Chaminade push him back.
Looked like Rappa in there again. You know, that is the strong point of this Chaminade defense. Coming at them right up the middle might not always work out well. Now, laterally might be a different story, but buckle down there.
1 quarter in the books here at Cy Donnelly Field, and it is St. Anthony's, a 7-3 lead. You're watching this Catholic AAA semifinal presented by Maspeth Federal Savings Bank right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We welcome back to Cy Donnelly Field. Dylan Butler and Pat Godfrey here at the start of the second quarter. And St. Anthony's facing a 3rd and goal from the 5. They've got a 7-3 lead here in the semifinals of the Catholic AAA. Torres fakes the hands off, goes in the air, and that is incomplete.
Really nice job by Michael Maggio stepping up and breaking up that pass. Now we go to 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. And this early on in the game really feels like a critical juncture for both teams.
4th and goal from the 5.
Look to see a rollout to the right here from Dante Torres. Give the option to run the ball or pass it.
All right, Tony Romo. There's the rollout. End zone. Out of bounds. Ian Strong pushed out of bounds.
And what a stop right there for that Chaminade defense. They needed it bad. Come in, Matt Rappa right there. Also, Seamus Miller up in the face of Dante Torres. And that's a close one right there. They don't have instant replay in high school football, but Ian Strong might want a second look. That time, Chaminade gets away unscathed.
You just need that 1 foot in, and it appeared like perhaps it was dragged. Here's another look.
Let's see. That's a touchdown right there.
That back foot.
That's a touchdown. So tough break there if you're a Friars fan. On the flip side, Flyers get one. And let's see if Matt Diegues can capitalize.
Diegues from his own end zone finds his favorite target, Creo. That was so important here, too, because, Pat, that just gets you at least out of your own end zone.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge right there. To get a little bit of momentum starting off the drive. And Gavin Creo has just shown himself to be that reliable option every single time for Matt Diegues.
The senior from Rockville Center came into this game with 46 receptions for 569 yards and 9 touchdowns. Diegues, look out. Pressure comes and throws it away. There was a receiver in John Carroll that was at least in the vicinity. But that's tough, man. Going across your body with the pressure coming.
That's dangerous territory right there. Just, another testament to the arm strength of Matt Diegues. Shows off a little bit of that baseball skill right there and being able to get that one off.
Yeah, if you know Jack Coffey Field there on the campus of Rose Hill, the baseball field and the football field are kind of one. So it's going to be interesting to see Diegues and Dante Torres kind of in that same airspace, if you will. Some contact on the line. We'll see the call here from referee Chris Atchison, and it looks like this is against the Friars, which will move the chains.
And right here, St. Anthony's kind of bailing Chaminade out, giving them that free first down.
But yeah, the outfield wall is actually the fence there for into the stands of the football field.
All right, so we might have one quarterback from tonight hitting dingers there in a few years, the other throwing touchdowns.
Exactly. Look at that hole and a fantastic run up the middle by Jack Tully.
It seems like once Chaminade can get a play or two going that this offense really opens up. It seems to be a lot about tempo for them. Now that they're moving in the right direction, just kind of comes hand over fist. And this is a great job by Tully following the left side of his line. Big number 58, Lucas Catasio, Mason Dietrich in there, Bob Loudit, and clear open a nice hole for the junior running back.
Yeah, make no mistake, Tully is a huge key for the Flyers. 1st and 10 from the 29. And it is Tully. No, excuse me.
Looks like maybe Sullivan.
Solomon with the carry. Gain of 7 there. This game has moved so quickly, we haven't even been able to tell you head coach's keys to this game. But moving the chains, I can assure you, is one for the Flyers, and they do just that again.
Exactly. Move the clock, or move the ball, eat up clock, and avoid costly mistakes if you're Chaminade is kind of what this comes down to. So far, doing a really good job taking care of the ball, getting some forward progress on offense, moving those chains. And the longer that Dante Torres, KJ Duff, and company can be on the sideline, the better Coach Dolan is going to feel.
1st and 10 from the 41-yard line. Dieguez hands off again. An extra push. And I think that was Tully, as there's an injured Friar.
Looks like Tyler Dunn, senior defensive tackle, down on the field for St. Anthony's. And our heart goes out to him. Let's hope he's doing all right. Dunn, real tough kid. Moved over from offensive line last year. Always figures out a way to get it done. Just a great motor when you watch the guy play. So let's hope he's okay. Otherwise, it could be a key loss for this St. Anthony's D-line.
Well, we have this injury timeout. Let's show you those aforementioned keys for both teams. For St. Anthony's, control Chaminade's run game. And obviously that is a lot of trying to stop Tully, right? Execute your game plan offensively. Get the ball into the hands of the athletes. And for Chaminade, defend Dante Torres' pass game. And there are those moving the chains, as we said. And also bounce back from adversity. This is an important one, whether it's a big, maybe an offensive holding penalty or an interception or a touchdown. Whatever that adversity is, you've got to be able to respond and then throw that next punch.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that to an extent already tonight. You know, that Flyers defense gets ran through on the first drive. Second drive, St. Anthony's goes all the way down the field, and Chaminade able to come away with a stop. So doing a really good job handling adversity so far tonight, but I'm sure there's more adversity on the way.
2nd and 9 for the Flyers from the 42-yard line. 9:23 left in this second quarter. Dieguez drops back the pass, goes over the middle, flings it upfield, and that is intercepted. Kenyon Miles.
The Villanova commit is back with a vengeance. 6'2", 175, and guys, he's a receiver first before DB, so Matt Dieguez really is going to regret lofting that one up. And Kenyon Miles says thank you right here by the end zone, or by the sideline.
I think it was Cerrone who kind of cut upfield, so I'm not sure if that was just a missed assignment or a miscommunication there, but Miles had no problem picking that one off. And maybe this is some of that adversity that Dolan was talking about, as St. Anthony's in their high-flying offense here with an opportunity to extend their lead.
No doubt. Chaminade been able to shut St. Anthony's down through the air so far tonight, but not have that kind of success in stopping their ground game. They're going to look to stabilize that part of their D on this drive.
Handoff up the middle. Ruda out to the 48-yard line.
Right here, Frank Ruda just running behind that right side of the St. Anthony's OL. You see behind big Christian Oliva and Ryan Murphy. And those guys do a really good job, open up the hole.
Another run up the middle. That was Dieguez's, by the way, only his second interception of the season.
Chaminade likes to play clean football. You know, that's how they win ball games. They like to be the less penalized team and like to limit those turnovers. That one could hurt them.
2nd and 6 from the 48-yard line. Ruda again. Oh, he is pushed backwards.
Right there, looked like Seamus Miller and Charlie Battaglia kind of tag team in that one.
See Ventura, 61. He was in there as well.
You know, another key third down right here for Chaminade. It's in Chaminade territory right now, so St. Anthony's looking to get something going. Big opportunity to try and clamp down for the Flyers.
3rd and 5. Torres. Nothing there, so he goes with his legs, pushes forward. He'll get the first down. He's taken down by man, but another great job by Dante Torres.
You know, when Dante Torres is running at you, your tendency as a defensive player is to kind of freeze a little bit, right? Because he's so long-legged, so quick, and, freezing those defenders was just enough to get across the sticks.
Torres over the middle. Touchdown! Nick Matos.
And, whenever we call St. Anthony's, we talk about the bevy of different weapons. And don't forget about number 17, Nick Matos. He's a 6'1 senior, 175 pounds, who contributes in a big way. That was his 5th touchdown on the year. And right here, just a perfectly placed ball from Dante Torres on the fly route.
Yeah, it's kind of a pick your poison when you deal with all of these wide receivers and all of these threats. And Nick Matos, the 6'1 senior, coming up with his 5th touchdown. He has just gotten better as the season has gone on. So 14-3 for St. Anthony's as the Friars have opened up the lead here in this Catholic AAA semifinal showdown presented by Maspeth Federal Savings right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
At Catholic Health, when we see our island, we see extraordinary life. The most extraordinary of which is you. It's because our Catholic faith places the highest value on people. All people. It's the inspiration for our exceptional medical care with unmatched compassion. And it's why at Catholic Health you're more than a patient. You're someone's family, best friend, and a neighbor to us all. Long live Long Island.
Welcome back to Cy Donnelly Field. Dylan Butler, Pat Godfrey here. The Catholic AAA semifinals, and the Friars, after falling into a 3-0 hole, have scored 14 unanswered, including that gorgeous pass from Torres to Matos to take a 14-3 lead.
Yeah, Dylan, and as hard as it is to believe, that was actually Dante Torres' first completion on the night. He's 1 for 5, but boy, what a completion to open up the night. 41 yards to Nick Matos, beautifully thrown ball, and that's one of the true dangers of playing against the St. Anthony's offense. They're never more than a play away.
Do you remember his first attempt of the season here against Chaminade?
I think so.
It was an interception.
Oh.
So he starts slow, it seems like, against the Flyers. Only 1 of 4 interceptions on the year for Dante Torres.
Once Dante settles, though, it's bad news.
Yeah. Bit of a pooch to the up man, and the Flyers will get things going from the 35-yard line. We'll welcome in the 3rd member of our broadcast team, John Perez, from the field.
Well, guys, if you remember, this game was supposed to be played last night at 7 o'clock, but due to the hurricane and the remnants coming up north, it was pushed back 24 hours. So what did St. Anthony's do in that time span? Well, yesterday was Veterans Day, so no school was in attendance, so St. Anthony's had their normal practice at the indoor facility and then went through some pretty deep film work that Minucci and the rest of the coaching staff said that they really needed to. This whole week could be really impacted and could be such a short week. It was nice to have the extra day, and he says that if they win, they are sacrificing the extra day from going from Friday to Saturday at Mitchell Field, but it's all worth it for a shot at the title. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, John. That was an incomplete pass, but there was a flag thrown, so this should here be against the defense. You see our referee, Chris Atchison, with the call. Pass interference against the Friars.
Automatic first down.
You know, if you're the St. Anthony's defense, that's really one thing you can't do in this situation is give up any easy penalties, any easy yardage to the Chaminade offense. You got to make them earn every last yard.
1st and 10 for Chaminade from the 50-yard line. The Flyers need to have a response here. Creo in motion. Dieguez finds Creo, cuts it inside. Slices through a few other would-be tacklers and gets a couple there on first down.
Creo's so elusive, but St. Anthony's doing a really good job of flowing to the football. That time is JoJo DeCero on the stop.
I'll have more on JoJo later on. 72 tackles on the year. Was the backup to Andrew Bardak a year ago and has assumed that role of not only lead tackler as that middle linebacker, but also that emotional leader of the defense.
No doubt. Big shoes to fill, and he's really done it.
Tully tries to bounce it to the outside. And the Friars defense, which was a maligned group earlier on this year, playing better as this season has gone on.
No doubt that these guys have heard it. I'm sure that there's nothing worse to hear if you're a St. Anthony's defensive player than, oh, great offense, but is the defense good enough? I think they've really improved as the year has gone on. They've become better open field tacklers. Remember, this defense has a lot of younger guys, more inexperienced, but now that we're here in November, they're stepping up in a big way and showing some of that experience that they've gained throughout the regular season.
You go back to week 2 and that loss at Rutgers to St. Joe's. They gave up 63 points in that one. 3rd and 9. Dieguez ducks under, sidearm. Oh, and what a pass by Dieguez, and that is complete to Tully.
Jack Tully, he's a running back, but he also gets it done with his hands. Got 13 receptions on the year. And running a bit of a more traditional receiver route here. Dieguez does a great job keeping his eyes downfield, quick release, and the toe tap there by Tully to finish it off. That's a thing of beauty.
Dieguez looked like he was at shortstop, right? Kind of slinging it there from the hole.
Yes, sir.
1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. A burst up the middle, and that was Tully again. But back to that St. Anthony's defense. So 63 points given up in that loss to St. Joe's, their only loss of the year. Then you give up 42 in a win at Iona. But they did give up 42 to Christ the King, but again, they scored 35 in that second quarter. It's a lot of their second string at that point against the first string there of Christ the King. 2nd and 7. Over the middle. That's complete to Francesa. Bounces it to the outside, and Francesa moves the chains.
Francesa went mad dog on him right there. Going up the seam. Really nice job by number 88, the tight end. Getting it done. And I'm impressed by the way that Chaminade has really utilized a wide array of different options as they've moved through the St. Anthony's defensive front tonight.
You could argue that Jack Francesa has been underutilized. 7 receptions for 105 yards, just the 1 touchdown for the senior from Manhasset, but he's come up with some huge plays.
He's a tough dude, too. Really contributes on the blocking side.
Talk about tough dudes. How about that pushback there as Tully tried to go up the middle. You saw Carey as part of that group.
Mackel in there, too.
No gain, 2nd and 10.
Dylan, in comparison to the last time we saw these two teams play, I've been real impressed with the Chaminade offense so far, really getting into a rhythm. Now it kind of comes down to you're in the red zone. Can you capitalize? Great teams score in situations like this in November football.
Dieguez, empty backfield, back to pass. Look out! Pulled back by DiChiero. JoJo with his 2nd sack of the season.
And that'll prompt the 3rd and long right here. If you're Matt Dieguez, you really want to get rid of that ball. All of a sudden, you're staring down the barrel at a 3rd and goal from the 19-yard line. Real tough scenario to try to convert for Chaminade.
The St. Anthony's D has been maligned this year, and the same is said, or true, I should say, of the Chaminade offense, where they've struggled consistently. 3rd and goal from the 18. Dieguez back to pass, slings it, goes end zone. Looking for big play, Pat Bruno, but that is knocked down.
It's a really nice throw there, though, by Matt Dieguez, giving Bruno a chance to catch it at the back pylon. You'll see.
That was Jenkins, right? 80?
Let's see. Yup. Right there. Jaden Jenkins does a great job.
Two of those guys had two of the biggest plays for their teams the last few weeks. Jaden Jenkins, to give St. Anthony's the top seed, returned a blocked field goal by Ian Strong in White Plains as the Friars beat Stepinac to earn the top seed. Pat Bruno a week ago made sure Chaminade's season extends to the semifinals. Tomlinson, a 35-yard field goal attempt, is no good. And that's got to sting for the Flyers. They do everything here. They get to the and goal portion of their offensive drive, and they stall out with nothing to show for it.
That one really hurts, especially, Tim Tomlinson, one of the best kickers in the Catholic League. Usually a guy who's good from that range, hit a 42-yarder earlier, but just misses. And that one really hurts, walking away empty-handed if you're a Flyer fan. Real important here going into the half with just under 3 minutes left. If you're a Chaminade fan, to really buckle down here. St. Anthony's on offense is going to have a chance to emphatically end this first half, go in up 3 scores.
And remember, too, they get the ball coming out as well. So this could be a huge portion of the game. Torres scrambles, look out. Torres still with it, tucks it under, gets out of bounds. Good job there by Dean Aquilina, the senior defensive end from East Williston, on the pursuit.
Yeah, Aquilina is real quick off the ball. One thing that's kind of funny if you're watching the defensive effort from Chaminade is usually you'll see against a quarterback like Dante Torres, maybe one linebacker playing that spy spot. They've been running a lot of underneath zone and almost using their 3 middle linebackers as a spy on Dante Torres, try and neutralize those legs a little bit.
Torres goes the other way. Flag on the play, and he goes to Matos, but this one should be coming back on an offensive holding penalty. Likely, we should say, as there's our referee, Chris Atchison.
As you hear the "you can't do that" chants coming from the Chaminade student section.
And there is the call for the hold.
Friars negates that play and will move the Friars back 10 yards.
It's a real interesting scenario here, too, because with St. Anthony's being so backed up, if they're unable to capitalize on this set of downs, all of a sudden you're putting the ball back to Chaminade and giving them really good field position to maybe try and punch it in themselves before the half. So it could really break a few different ways here over the last 2:30.
Second and about 20 from the 10-yard line. Torres quickly hands off. Going a little east-west. Now trying to get north was Morant. But that's so hard to do, man, against this front seven of Chaminade.
Gain of 14.
Nice pickup, though. Gain of 14. I know as a coach, usually when you see your running backs trying to do a Reggie Bush impression, that's a horrible sight. But luckily there for Darius Morant, he's got the speed to get around the edge and pick up some positive yardage.
3rd and 6 from the 24-yard line. Torres back to pass. Finds a receiver, far sideline. And they will not get the first down. That's the first, I think, target even to KJ Duff.
Yeah, first target, first catch of the night for Duff. Oddly enough, he's actually at negative yardage right now, which I don't know how many people would have expected on the first half, but oddly conservative play call in that 3rd and 8 scenario.
Let's take a look at the bracket here in the Catholic AAA, and as Chaminade calls timeout, you see St. Anthony's beating Christ the King, that amazing game at Gold Star Stadium last Saturday afternoon, with Chaminade winning at the last second. That Pat Bruno 22-yard touchdown reception. And then Stepinac beating Farrell, Iona beating Hayes, and now Iona advancing to next Saturday's championship game against the winner of this one.
Really has felt like Iona's been building towards this senior class, this opportunity. They're the returning state champs this year, but I know that St. Anthony's and potentially Chaminade would love to play spoiler to those dreams.
St. Anthony's this season went up to Marrafield, and they won 48-42. Those results on the road, especially Iona, and winning at Stepanak, is why St. Anthony's is the top seed, and it's been very much a three-team field as the punt is off. It's in a high arcing one, and it'll take a bounce backward as the Friars will take it. But throughout much of the season, right, we've talked about it from the very beginning. It's been three teams, right? It's been St. Anthony's, Iona, and Stepanak. And then sort of who else is going to try to break those three juggernauts. And it's Chaminade here trying to do that. But during the regular season, really, it's kind of been those teams all beating each other and really nobody beating St. Anthony's.
It's really hard to compare those teams in terms of the amount of competitive depth that they bring to the table, but also that top-end athleticism. So not only do those big three have probably 10 of the top 20 guys in the Catholic League this year, but also they have the deepest benches in the whole league. And that's why I think year over year you see teams like St. Anthony's and Iona really thrive.
Huge drive here for the Flyers, and it's Creo. The catch, trying to do a little bit more. Clock continues to run as Creo was unable to get out of bounds. Chaminade will work their 2-minute offense now. Dieguez back to pass. Good protection. Rolls out right. Slings it off his back foot. Oh, nearly a completion to Creo. That was a fantastic job by Jaden Platt. What a battle for that football.
Great job by Platt here, but I'm just impressed with the arm talent here from Matt Dieguez. Maybe leaves the pocket a second before he has to, but that Matt Stafford type three-quarter sling and just puts it on a rope right where it has to be. Unfortunately, Creo unable to bring it down because that great effort by Platt.
Platt, the Hamilton commit, 6'1", 180, 41 tackles on the year for the senior.
Jaden Platt at 6'1", playing corner is a real advantage out there for St. Anthony's.
There was a flag on the play. It'll be a 3rd and 8. I believe it was an ineligible receiver downfield. Dieguez ducks under pressure. Blocked by Strong. Intercepted. Strong got a piece.
That's a hell of a job right there by that St. Anthony's front, getting up in the face of Matt Dieguez, and then Thomas Mackel, the 6'2", 230-pound senior defensive end, lives out the dreams of any defensive lineman right here, coming down with it and just puts that stiff arm out. If you don't think that he's been dreaming of that moment since he's a little kid, you got another thing coming. Really good job right there by Ian Strong being able to tip that ball. He's all over the place. You know, Rutgers commit, nice and long, plays both ways for the St. Anthony's team, and is able to get in the face there of Matt Dieguez, forced the interception.
Those arms of Strong, we mentioned it before, right? Blocks the potential game-winning field goal for Stepanak, and it was returned by Jenkins, and a fantastic opportunity now for St. Anthony's to really put Chaminade into some trouble here. 1st and 10 from the Flyers 20. Dieguez came in with 1 interception on the season, 2 in this first half. And there's a holding penalty. I love the reaction by Luke Ventura.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to get number 77, Carson Chanchuli, on that one right there. He's 6'2", 285, and has really been a dependable, reliable starter for years for this St. Anthony's offense.
Ventura
just gets caught.
Yeah, sorry, Pat. Ventura, the senior from Port Washington, right? Pumping that fist as he was going, realizing that the flag was thrown.
Hey, you know, a little showmanship never hurt, right? That's something you gotta play to as a high school football player.
Luke is just a mountain of a kid, 6'4", 275, 50 tackles on the year, 9 for losses and 2 sacks. So this is a 1st and 30. 58 seconds remaining in the first half. Handoff up the middle. And that's Ruda. Again, pushing forward.
Looks like Matt Rappo is in on that tackle. Super active, working his way up to almost 100 tackles on this season. Playing real well out here so far.
And the running game has been something that Joe Minucci has said that the Friars need to establish in the later portions of the regular season as well as the postseason. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape between these two teams coming in to this game. See the passing yards per game, obviously an edge there for St. Anthony's, rushing as well. You see how active defensively Chaminade is as well. Points, obviously St. Anthony's puts them up in a bunch, right? So 33-17. And those are the seeds there. The number 1 seed for St. Anthony's and the 4 seed for the Flyers of Chaminade.
I do want to highlight it's real important to this Chaminade team, the fact that they're getting the chance to compete again in the AAA playoffs. Last year didn't compete well enough to make it into the AAA bracket and won the championship down at AA1. This year back with a vengeance and have really proven to a lot of people why they belong up here with the biggest and the best in the New York Catholic League.
Pass to Ruda, tries to bounce it outside. And a good job defensively there by Chaminade.
Yeah, it looked like John Marshall and Matt Rappa in there doing a really good job tackling an open space, and that's what you have to do against St. Anthony's defense or offense.
Yeah, you make sure that he can't get out of bounds and force St. Anthony's to burn another timeout. So as we have all year, I wanted to thank the folks at the Yes Network, Varsity Media. We're excited to be teaming up with the Yes Network app to bring high school football games to even more fans. We did so in the regular season, and now when the games are in November, we are doing so again. Our broadcast simulcast on the Yes Network app.
And really, you know, that's the answer to any questions you have about high school football right now. You want to see championship caliber play? Yes. You want to see the best of the best in the New York area? Yes. Check it all out on the Yes app. We're so glad to partner with them.
And your next part of the trivia question is if you want to download the Yes Network app, the Emmy Award-winning Yes Network app, you scan that QR code at the bottom left of your screen.
Now, Dylan, by the transitive property, does that give us an Emmy as well, or we still have to keep working towards
I think
that?
it was one before we came on board for the simulcast.
Okay, we'll be
like
Emmy
we didn't have enough games, you know, like to win
Gotcha.
to get the ring, right?
Just wait until they see next weekend.
Torres back to pass, flings it, goes end zone, finds Ian Strong, touchdown, St. Anthony's!
Ian Strong right here just goes up over number 15, Nick Marino. Strong hands and brings it down. Another perfect dime from Dante Torres. You'll see here, steps up in the pocket, keeps those eyes downfield, and hard to miss. Number 5, 6'5", Ian Strong. Rutgers commit, proving why he's going to be a big impact player in the Big Ten next year.
He's going there to play safety, and you wonder if the Rutgers staff keeps seeing what he's able to do here in high school, if maybe that might mean he can get some reps on the other side of the football. What a touchdown by Ian Strong. His 10th of the season gives St. Anthony's a 21-3 lead. We'll take a quick break. We'll get you the final 29 seconds of this first half when we return right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
A clash of styles, out in Setauket. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring.
Welcome back to Cy Donnelly Field. The kickoff after that touchdown. Good coverage downfield. Special teams by Platt. And now it's St. Anthony's. And again, they come out with the football. So you can turn 21-3 into maybe 28-3. And now you're really putting a Chaminade offense that struggled to put up points and move the football into a lot of trouble.
Absolutely, and you want to talk about a stat line for the first half. Dante Torres, only 2 completions so far, but 2 touchdowns on those 2 completions and 81 yards, a 40-yarder and a 41-yarder. So really getting the most out of the times that they've been slinging it and putting a lot of pressure on Matt Dieguez and company to keep up.
Run to the outside. That was Tully again. We want to tell folks to stick around at halftime. John Baccia will bring you through all of those first half highlights as well as some first half stats as well.
John's one of the best in the business. Basically a PhD in Catholic League football. So excited to share him and all the knowledge that he brings to the table at halftime.
We will send it down to the field for John Perez, who's got St. Anthony's head coach Joe Minucci with him.
Joe, Ian Strong had the bat down that led to the interception, now the touchdown. How special has he been this year for you?
He's been great. He's been a pleasure to coach, for his 4 years here. I'm just excited that he's having such an amazing senior year. I love him.
This is a Chaminade team that has pulled out miracles in the past. They're not done yet. What's the message to the team going into the locker room?
Listen, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. Just because, the score is what it is right now. We're going into the locker room. It's 0-0, and we're coming out to play another second half.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, my pleasure.
That's Joe Minucci. We'll send it back upstairs.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Joe Minucci. So it's halftime here at Cy Donnelly Field, and it's the Friars with a 21-3 lead. You're watching this Catholic Football League semifinal showdown in the AAA, presented by Maspeth Federal Savings Bank on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Hi, I'm Gene Sterator, CBS Rules Analyst and longtime sports official. For the adults watching this video, you grew up in a world where officials, umpires, and referees for youth sports took their place regularly and reliably ahead of game time. Today, unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder to fill those jobs. Videos showing abusive treatment of officials multiply on social media. And there have been consequences for the dreadful behavior of players, fans, and coaches. Massive shortages of officials now lead to games being canceled, and the positive effects of athletic competition are at critical risk for this generation and those to come. I'm hoping we all can begin to see youth competition through a different lens. Today, mistreatment of officials has become normalized, and we are facing an abnormal future where no officials to hire means no games on the schedule.
Any call, any decision, any human effect on wins and losses has become subject to not just withering criticism, but physical threats. There's a vicious cycle at work. Fans chase away officials, and there is a smaller pool to draw from, which makes it harder to get quality, well-trained people in position. The entire game suffers.
Did you know, according to the National Federation of High Schools, 80% of new officials quit the game after just 2 seasons because of abusive behavior from the stands and sidelines? This sort of verbal abuse and threatening behavior takes a toll on all officials and makes them leave the game altogether.
Did you know From 2018 to 2022, an estimated 50,000 high school referees, roughly 20%, have quit. Half of the remaining referee population is at least 50 years old, but young officials are rarely staying more than 3 years in the job.
If the number of officials working contests in all sports doesn't begin to increase, there won't be enough officials to work the games. That means schedules will get cut, teams or even sports might get canceled. In many states, this is already happening.
Remember that officials are invested in what they do. Many officials have regular, full-time jobs, and they're sacrificing time away from their families. Try to demonstrate empathy. Put yourself in their position. Think how you would feel about getting yelled at throughout your workday.
Yelling and arguing with officials sends the wrong message to young players. According to Play by the Rules sports advocacy, it teaches them that it's not okay to make a mistake. They can blame others for their actions. They can disrespect authority figures. And it's okay to be rude and selfish.
You know, officials enforce rules, keep competitions fair, and make player safety a priority, allowing youth sports to be a valuable arena for growth. If we can all just work together and be more empathetic to not just the officials, but everyone else in youth and high school sports, we can then preserve what many of us have embraced about athletics. And you and I know the benefits of sports, right? Let's spread that gratitude and be proud of what we can build and not blind to how it's being torn down. Calling officials cheaters or corrupt, it's not a game.
Insulting referees, it's not a game.
Threatening officials, it's not a game.
Berating young umpires, learning the ropes, it's not a game.
Violent language in the stands, it's not a game.
Verbal abuse from the sideline, it's not a game.
Screaming at a referee in the parking lot, it's not a game.
So what happens now? Your response in the heat of the moment is the only thing you totally control, and we have an experiment for you to try. Simply stated, just cheer for your child or the team you're there to support. Move that desire to lash out to a different place and encourage without rage. Your child's sporting memory should be about how you helped inspire and not about how you caused embarrassment.
High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
a clash of styles, out in Setauket. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring.
It doesn't matter where you come from, what you have or what you don't have, what you lack or what you have too much of. But all you need to have is faith in God, an undying passion for what you do and what you choose to do in this life, and a relentless drive and the will to do whatever it takes to be successful in whatever you put your mind to.
Going on with football, we need to get these kids more exposure, more opportunities. Our whole goal and purpose is to raise the level of football on Long Island. And the only way we're going to do it is create more opportunities for kids to play the game and learn the game. And learn the game the proper way through fundamentals and technique. So our program.
Long Island is a great place to live. It's known for many things. Recruiters, listen up. It's also known for football. Some great players have come out of Long Island. Some have made it all the way to the NFL. Guys like DeBrickashaw Ferguson, who was a 3-time Pro Bowler and played 10 seasons for the New York Jets. Long Island is a bright spot in spite of the decline in youth football numbers nationally. That's because there is a group of leaders, coaches, families, and players who have cast aside distractions and come together to collectively raise the level of Long Island football. When you really love something, it's important to have opportunities to help you follow your dream. There are plenty of venues for soccer and lacrosse. Now there is one for those Long Island players and families who live, eat, and breathe football. These people love the sport and its life lessons deeply. These are the grittiest, nastiest, and most committed young players on Long Island. They are the guys first to practice and last to leave. They are the ones at the camps and the clinics, hyper-focused on perfecting their craft. They are the ones in the gym in the off-season and in the books to keep their grades up. They are the ones you see who never come out. They never give up and never quit. They are the few. This is Long Island Elite Football.
Welcome back here to Cy Donnelly Field. I'm John Baccio here to run you through the half. Right now it is 21-3 in favor of the Friars here on Cy Donnelly Field, and I mean, what a half it was for St. Anthony's. Let's take you through it. We start off in the first quarter. It's Frank Ruda showing his prowess. I mean, what an incredible player he's been all season for St. Anthony's, and I mean, he really shows it off here today. Currently, 9 carries, just shy of 70 yards. He had an 18-yarder to the crib to make it 7-3 in the first, and you'll see it right here. Ruda gets the carry, finds his hole, and he takes that one all the way to the end zone. Frank Ruda, great today. As I said, 9 carries, just shy of 70 on the day. But what's St. Anthony's really known for, you may ask? Well, I think we all know that one. Airing it out. Dante Torres, I mean, what a player he is. 5 for 9 with 88 passing yards on the day. He's got 2 touchdowns. One of them was a 41-yarder early on in the second. And I mean, later on, a minute to go, 3rd and 30. Dante Torres airs it out downfield. Ian Strong's got to be down there somewhere, and he is. Strong jumps up, mosses the defender, and makes it 21-3 in favor of the Friars. That's your halftime recap. Dante Torres, 5 for 9 on the day. This is John Baccio here, breaking it down for the half.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
a clash of styles, out in Setauket. We love those differing styles, right?
Top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring. Varsity Media covers every sport at every level from every angle. game film, recruiting videos, highlight videos, sportscasts.
That's complete. First down and more. Touchdown, Oceanside.
Photography, live streaming. You name it, we offer it. Don't leave your video needs to amateurs. Trust the pros. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net. If you're an event organizer looking for a media company to cover live streaming, action photography, and game video for your event, look no further. Varsity Media travels throughout the Northeast covering weekend tournaments, showcases, and championships. Contact us today to learn about our services and packages at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
For the best action shots and the best angles, look no further than Varsity Media. Our experienced photographers capture your athletes' best moments right from field level. Plus, we offer great keepsakes like bobbleheads, posters, plaques, and prints. For more information about Varsity Media's photography services, contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area sports leader. We offer an array of services for any team, coach, player, athletic director, and parent. From game film to live streaming, we are available to cover your event anytime, any place. Looking for an enhanced experience? How about a professional broadcast with multiple camera angles, announcers, graphics, and instant replay? Need a highlight reel? We produce individual highlights for college recruiting and team highlight videos for end-of-season banquets. And when it comes to social media, nobody has you covered better than us. Hype videos, sideline highlights. We can tailor custom videos to make your team stand out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Why waste your time dealing with anyone else? When it comes to sports video, Varsity Media stands alone. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or online at varsitymedia.net.
We welcome you back to Cy Donnelly Field. Halftime here in South Huntington, and it is the Friars with a 21-3 lead. There they are. I guess on cue, right, for us coming back from break onto the field. And it was interesting as we heard John Baccio break it down. You know, it was Chaminade right away. They moved the football. They looked a lot like St. Anthony's has looked like throughout the year on that first drive. You got to think, though, that it was advantage St. Anthony's because they only got the 3 right away, because then St. Anthony's offense started humming like they usually do, and they put up 21.
Absolutely. You know, the score isn't necessarily indicative of the tales of tape for the first half. Chaminade actually was very productive, able to move the chains a lot on offense. Just once they got into that red zone, failed to walk away with touchdowns. We saw them hit a 42-yarder and miss a 35, and really, you know, that's a difference in the game. I think if Chaminade would have been able to punch it in, be at 14-21 right now. It's a much different looking game, but instead we're at 21-3 with St. Anthony's getting the ball to start off the first half or the second half, and I'm sure Dante Torres is going to be happy to load on top of that current lead.
As St. Anthony's, you see them getting ready for the start of the second half. And we have John Perez on the field for a report from the sidelines. John.
Guys, I just caught up with Kevin Dolan, and I asked him what the adjustments were going to be going into the second half, and he said you could just look at the board and say, hey, St. Anthony's is cashing in on all these dynamic plays, but it really comes down to stopping the running game and stopping Frank Rudy. He says that the secondary's done a fantastic job in the passing game and limiting Torres. Now, when I asked him what was said in the locker room, he said, hey, at the end of the day, we could throw as many football cliches as we want. we're supposed to be teachers. He said that it doesn't matter what the score is at the end of the game, that these guys have had a miraculous year, and they're still going to be winners in his book. Kevin Dolan, one of the nicest guys in the CHSFL, and Chaminade ready to run through a wall for him and try to come back against St. Anthony's. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, John. So we'll see what happens here in the second half with Chaminade, but this is a critical juncture of the game, right? They need to move the football. Obviously, best case scenario for anyone there supporting Chaminade is you get points on the board for sure, but you can't afford to go 3 and out here, especially, St. Anthony's is smelling some blood in the water.
Exactly. St. Anthony's is ready to go for that knockout punch. We saw that happen early on the first time these two teams met, and Chaminade really going to have to step up to the plate here, come out fast in the second half, and hope to right this ship.
You mentioned that first meeting between these two teams, and that one was here on the Varsity Media Sports Network, a Week 1 game that was won by St. Anthony's. Here's some of those moving pictures from that one. Dante Torres pushing forward, scoring on a 1-yard touchdown run. That put St. Anthony's on the board after, ironically, giving up a field goal to fall behind. And there is K.J. Duff doing what K.J. Duff does, going 63 yards to the house, extending the lead and really putting the Friars into almost cruise control later on. It's 35-3 at this point, and Matt Diegas gets a bit of a cosmetic touchdown, a 10-yard touchdown run to make it 35-10, your final score, Week 1 here in South Huntington.
This game so far, unfortunately for Chaminade, eerily similar. You saw that K.J. Duff touchdown in the first game, put the Friars ahead 21-3. That's our score at half going into the third quarter.
Tim Tomlinson is ready to get the second half going. This one will be returned right from the end zone. It's Jaden Jenkins to do so. And now the Friars offense back on to the field. Again, the winner of this game takes on Iona Prep. The Gales, the defending AAA champions, beating Stepanak earlier today at Mara Field in New Rochelle.
Really a dominant victory up there for Iona. I don't know how many people saw that one coming because the regular season matchup a lot closer, but Iona really playing their best football going into this Catholic League championship next weekend.
So Friars get going 1st and 10 from their own 22-yard line. Low snap. Torres hands off. The rush to Morant. And it looks like Battaglia in on the tackle.
And yet again, we see another issue with that center to quarterback exchange coming from Dowling. Low snap. It kind of messes up the timing on that play. Have really negative implications on trying to get a rhythm going in the run game.
Well, the run up the middle. And right at the heart there of the Chaminade linebacker, just so it was at Rappa and man, and that's a first down run for Morant. As we saw in the first half, Pat, Friars looking to move quickly. Torres, a pair of pump fakes. Goes to the outside, trying to toe that line was Ian Strong, and a late flag is thrown.
Ian Strong real unhappy with that referee right there on the sideline earlier on. You might remember had a touchdown taken off the board on 4th down due to being called out of bounds. Once again, he felt like he had gotten a foot in.
Flag on the play, ineligible receiver downfield for St. Anthony's.
It's an ineligible receiver downfield against the Friars.
So let me explain that one for the people at home. On a play like that, Dante Torres is running what we call a run-pass option. So the offensive line is blocking the play as if it's a run. In that instance, Dante decides to pull it, throws it. The offensive line is too far downfield. It's really on the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands before anybody gets downfield. That penalty should really be assigned to Torres.
Oh, might have another one here as well, and this one looks to be against Morant.
Flag down again against the Friars.
Illegal motion. So the Friars going backward here after getting that first down.
Another 5 yards.
And really, it seems like the only times that Chaminade has been able to get St. Anthony's off the field has been those instances where St. Anthony shoots themselves in the foot, gets behind the chain. So looking at a 2nd and 20 right here.
Torres chased by Ventura. Turns it upfield and gets himself out of bounds. Ventura and Aquilina were the two, 66 and 61, doing the chasing there.
Tonight, kind of like clockwork, Dante Torres has been able to take that yardage on the ground. Chaminade having a real tough time bringing him to the ground once they get pressure in his face. Dante Torres just showing another reason why he's considered a top quarterback in New York State.
2nd and 15. Torres slings it, and that is nearly intercepted in and out of the hands of Nick Marino. The intended target was Timmy Longo.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a misfire that you usually don't see coming out of Torres. Sets back and just kind of lofts this one up for his trusted senior receiver, Timmy Longo. Overthrows it by just a bit. Unfortunate that Nick Marino didn't come down with the interception.
Marino, the senior from Floral Park, trying to get his 2nd interception of the season. So 3rd and 15. Big opportunity here for Chaminade to potentially get a stop. Torres spins out. Pinto chasing him. Torres still goes across his body. Oh! And he finds Duff at the 50. Wow. Duff still going. Finally, the whistle is blown, but it's St. Anthony's ball at the 49. In case of emergency, you break that glass and you find number 1.
I might be aging myself right here, but this is a little bit reminiscent of Johnny Manziel just working in the backfield, extending that play, and kind of commits the cardinal sin. You never throw the ball up into the center of the field, but sometimes when number 1's sitting on the other side, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think the asterisk you put next to that rule is unless the receiver is 6'5" and has a boatload of Division I offers, then it's okay.
Morant on the carry, no gain, brings up 2nd and 10.
Morant, no gain on that first down carry. KJ Duff, the junior, 6'5", 200. First freshman to ever start on the varsity football team. Preston Carries follow that up this year.
One thing so impressive about KJ Duff is just the physicality with which he plays. Only 200 pounds, but he plays like a Brandon Jacobs sometimes to get the ball in his hands.
Oh, man. Ian Strong.
Pass caught.
Just hurdling dudes.
He's kind of showing off right there between number 1 and number 5. Both guys kind of scary when they get the ball in their hands in space.
Like Strong, a Rutgers commit, Duff has been offered by Greg Schiano's Scarlet Knights. Back to Strong, has a blocker up the field, and he's pushed out inside the 30-yard line.
We said this all year long, but playing against St. Anthony is kind of like pick your poison, right? You're doing a good job trying to be stout up the middle against these guys in Morant and Ruda, and then all of a sudden Dante Torres just says, I'll get it to the outside.
Oh, Morant tried to turn around and find the seam, but Ben Mann says no. Mann, the senior, in terms of the college recruiting spectrum, could be the biggest secret on this team. You mentioned Cortland and Ithaca, part of the recruiting process right now. Look at all the time for Torres. Backs it up to his 50. Chased down there by Pinto. Slings it. He goes end zone. That was caught.
What a play.
Matos.
And goal.
Wow.
Matos from
What a play right here by Nick Matos. You saw him with the 41-yard touchdown earlier, and right there along the sideline, tiptoes, and somehow comes out of the fray with that one.
Friars inside the 1. Torres under center. Dives in the end zone, and he gets the touchdown. The elusiveness of Dante Torres to keep that play alive. And also, listen, you're a former O-lineman, man. You'll love the fact that all those dudes were blocking and there were no flags there as Dante Torres is scrambling around trying to find an opening.
Especially deserving credit is number 77, Carson Chanchuli. He did a really good job. You'll see later as this play starts to develop, he had a crackback opportunity on the long pass to Matos and just puts his hands up, plays smart football. And St. Anthony's playing really clean, good football out here, trying to show everybody that they're ready to go out there and win a AAA title.
Goldstein, the point after attempt is good, and with 8:42 left in the third quarter, St. Anthony's extends their lead. They're up 28-3 in this Catholic High School Football League semifinal showdown presented by Maspeth Federal Savings Bank.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Maspeth Federal Savings is here through it all. The ins and outs, the ups and downs. Through the winters, the summers, and even the spring of leaks. Know that Maspeth has your back. From luxury sheets to balance sheets to dancing under the stars, your mission is our mission. And when our community calls, we proudly step forward. So whether you need it now or planning for tomorrow, through all the twists and all the turns, you can always find us right here in your neighborhood.
We welcome you back to Cy Donnelly Field. Third quarter of the second and final Catholic AAA semifinal. We all know that the Gales of Iona are returning to Mitchell Athletic Complex, where they beat Monsignor Farrell a year ago to win the Catholic League title. St. Anthony's, 28 unanswered points, trying to book their spot back there as well. Goldstein, the kickoff. It's fielded at about the 27-yard line. Looks like that was Mengi in there on the tackle.
Ian Strong, too, just did him dirty at the end of that play. Picked him up 2 feet off the ground.
So Pat Bruno comes up with a huge play last week. Let's get to know Patty Bruno. Big play Pat. Senior from Rockville Center. Favorite pizzeria slice, we go Gino's and the Buffalo Chicken Ranch. Favorite Thanksgiving dish, he goes with the mashed potatoes and gravy. And Lone Survivor, I'm with Pat here. That's a great movie.
Absolutely. Really across the board, great choices.
And that also speaks a little bit as a flag has been thrown. It's going to be against St. Anthony's. It speaks also a little bit of the person that Pat Bruno is. He's looking to go ROTC, looking to perhaps go in to the armed service and defend his country. That's the kind of guy that Pat Bruno, his head coach, Kevin Dolan, has said he shows himself to be on the football field.
It's really amazing. You know, that kind of selflessness is reflected in the way he is as a teammate. You know, he's a gritty dude in every sense of the word and has been a real catalyst for this Chaminade offense all year.
Tully, big run on 1st and 5, gets past the 50 to move the chains. Tully's been that guy, Pat. You know, you've got so many of those great Chaminade running backs, right? It started with Mario Fischetti a few years back, and then it was Christian Alakwa, and now Tully has the baton, and he has literally run with it this year.
And, you know, so far tonight, the Chaminade offense continues to move the ball, continues to have some success. They just have failed to put it together into a complete drive.
Diegas, a deep look and a late flag. And this will likely be a pass interference penalty against the Friars. Platt was the defender as Creo was the intended target.
You know, Dylan, I don't really love this call in this situation. Looks like the ball was a little bit overthrown for Gavin Creo to begin with. but in this instance, Chaminade fortunate to move the chains.
So they will do just that as they get to the 32-yard line with 7:57 left in this third quarter. Got twin receivers at the bottom of your screen. Tully next to Diegues, and the Flyers look to call a timeout. These two teams, not only are they great rivals during the regular season and have played some big games, they've sort of been intertwined as well in the history of the Catholic Football League playoffs and championships and the biggest games, and we'll detail that for you now. You go back to 2013 was the last playoff meeting between these two teams, and it was a 35-0 win for St. Anthony's. Jordan Gowans, a big day for the Friars, rushing for 183 yards, a 47-yard touchdown. That came a year after Zane Wasp put himself into the history books at Chaminade with a 33-yard field goal with 52 seconds left. That was the Flyers' first AAA championship since 1998 and also ended an 18-game losing streak against St. Anthony's. In 2002, the Friars repeated as champs, their 21st consecutive win, 34-32, and you go back to 1994. And Tony Williams rushing for 146 yards on the day in a 21-18 win for St. Anthony's.
And it really is wild when you think about how these programs have kind of mirrored each other over the last decade. Both obviously won in 2012 and then 2013. Haven't won since, and really have made it a point. We want to get back to the pinnacle of AAA. And I think it's only right that as St. Anthony's is having a dominant year going into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, that their road would have to go through the Chaminade Flyers in order to pursue that title.
Off the timeout, Diegues slings it, and that pass is complete. It goes to Francesa, and he goes out of bounds inside the 15.
Francesa, second time we've seen him featured here tonight. You know, only came into the game with 7 receptions on the year, but has shown himself to be a pretty dynamic threat from that tight end position. Also a really talented blocker, and 34 yards on the night. So great productivity out of number 88.
Oh, and some movement up front on the right side of that line. And it was Francesa, the one to jump. So this will push the Flyers back 5 yards.
Really would love to talk to Jack Francesa about the experience of growing up on Long Island with that last name. It's a hell of a sports last name, and he should be damn proud.
And he's made his own name at Chaminade, certainly, as well. Diegues looks for options, slings it over the middle and in and out of the hands. Ooh, and a late flag as well. And this will be against DiChiaro, and I'm not sure if that was a penalty. And they're going to call a targeting penalty here on DiChiaro. So personal foul will go half the distance.
Looks like the penalty will be
Targeting, always such a tough call to make. A lot of times these players are bang, bang. Defensive player doesn't necessarily have enough time to readjust his body as he's flying up to try and make a tackle. In that instance, Jojo DiChiaro gets dinged, and sometimes that's just a necessary evil when you hit like number 44 does.
So big opportunity here for the Flyers. Diegues ducks under pressure, pushes to the sticks and gets out of bounds.
Diegues on the keeper.
Really nice Dante Torres impression right there, using that elusivity to get out of the pocket and know exactly where the sticks are.
So it's a first down as you see Diegues having that conversation with his head coach, Kevin Dolan, in his 7th season as Chaminade head coach, a 1985 graduate of Chaminade, his 35th year overall coaching, previously at New Hyde Park Memorial, for 16 years, where he's the dean of students and a teacher as well. First and goal from the 5. Hand off to Tully. Oh, what a great move by Tully. Turns to the outside. Touchdown, Chaminade.
Jack Tully's been productive all day long. Does a really good job of following Nick Rinaldi and Connor Burmis on that right-hand side of the line. Into the promised land right here for Jack Tully's 7th touchdown on the year. Really good job. You'll see that open hole and Mason Dietrich kicking out to lead him to the promised land. 5-yard touchdown for Jack Tully.
Nearly taken down by Kenyon Miles. Tomlinson's PAT is no good. Off the upright. Tomlinson usually automatic on the season.
Yeah, really out of character for Tim Tomlinson. He was 15 of 18 on point after attempts going into this game. And after hitting that 42-yarder, been a string of a couple tough kicks.
Well, we told you a little bit about Pat Bruno, and our player to get to know for St. Anthony's is Jojo DiChiero. Let's get to know Jojo a little bit now. Go to Mom's Cooking, and perhaps along that Thanksgiving Day theme, Grandma's apple pie. You know that recipe got handed down, right?
Yes,
down in the DiChiero family. Video game Fortnite, and there you see the favorite athlete as well for Jojo DiChiero.
And what a fitting favorite athlete, right? Luke Kuechly was just so active for so many years at Carolina Panthers at that middle linebacker spot. Real cerebral player, and that's kind of how Jojo DiChiero makes his mark.
Out of Northport. Speaking of Northport, how about the big win for the Tigers this afternoon, beating Lindenhurst, avenging last year's loss in the semifinals to Lindenhurst, and Northport into the county championship.
That 21-7 victory had a lot of people buzzing around the town of Northport. I'm a native of that part of Long Island, so congrats to Coach Pat Campbell, Boomer Campbell, Dave Wilson, Kip Lucarelli, and all the great folks over there at Northport High School.
Remarkable, too, because you consider that moment in their season where Owen Johansson goes down injured. He's lost for the year. That's your starting quarterback. That's your starting, middle linebacker. And that also seemed to be the point that the Tigers as a team rallied and got better as a group.
It's amazing, certainly didn't use the injury to Johansson as an excuse. They came into this year with really tall ambition. It's been close to 20 years since they played the Suffolk County Championship game. And just really, really excited because I know personally how much work goes into building up that offense over in Northport.
They have a tall task ahead of them, though, to take on the defending champions in Bellport.
I was asked if I'd be willing to suit up, but
spoke with Greg Sarah of Newsday at halftime. Said that named you. Was it All Long Island?
First team All Long Island. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Thank you very much, Mr. Sarah. I'll be a loyal Newsday reader so long as I live.
First and 10 from the 20-yard line for St. Anthony's. Handoff comes this way. Look at this run by Ruda.
Ruda on the carry. First down.
We talk about both these backs, but boy, Frank Ruda really does maximize every single touch. He's actually down on the field here.
Yeah, you hope he's all right. We heard earlier on today, too, Iona and Stepanak, and in that game, Ajani Shepard and Colin O'Garo, two huge parts of what Iona has done, went down with injuries as well, and you really hate to see it at any time of the year, but especially this late into November. If you're home for all things, not only Long Island Public School, but also the Catholic Football League, for some highlights of that young man there, too, Josiah Brown. Good to see him back on the football field after that scary injury of his own. You want to go to Varsity Media Pass. VarsityMediaPass.com. You got top 10 plays, highlights, podcasts, interviews, and so much more available on iOS and Android. And top 10 plays are going to be tough, man. We've personally seen a few, and that's just in the games that we broadcast today.
Devin Gonzalez earlier had one of the most amazing 70 or so yard runs I've seen in a long time. But now, once we get to this point in the season, getting to, championship time next week, we're going to be at Mitchell Field. That's really when I like to drink from the metaphorical fire hose on the Varsity Media Pass, Get all that college or high school football in while you can, because it's going to be gone before we know it.
Metaphorically, huh? 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line for St. Anthony's. Torres over the middle, complete to Duff at the 45-yard line. Hard hit laid down there too by Brian Friel, but another big play by KJ Duff.
KJ Duff quiet throughout that first half, really coming into his own throughout the second half. Second time we've seen him hit for a big slant.
1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. Torres fakes it, chased by Pinto, cuts it inside, slides inside the 25-yard line. And actually, let's say that he slid at the 26.
That's a real smart play here by Dante Torres. We just spoke about Frank Ruda, who was a little dinged up on that play, and how important it is staying healthy as they look towards next week, hopefully at Mitchell Field. They're going to really want to be at full strength, so smart getting down there for Torres.
Over the middle. That one's incomplete. Matos was the intended target. Good job defensively there by John Marshall.
John Marshall, he's a Melville native, so used to this neck of the woods, and has just been really doing a great job out on the edge.
Yeah, Marshall this season as a junior has kind of come out of the blue. What a fantastic year he's had. 40 tackles for John Marshall. Up the middle. Here comes Morant into the end zone. Touchdown, St. Anthony's. A 26-yard touchdown run for Darius Morant.
We've been talking about Ruda. Here's Morant's opportunity to find the end zone. Just right there following behind number 76, Ryan Murphy, the pulling tackle, 6'6", 265, busts that open. And number 30, once he sees daylight like that, he ain't going down. That's 6.
13 carries for 98 yards and a touchdown for Darius Morant. The PAT is up and good. And you talked about eerily similar. How about this one? Look at this score. If it was not for that PAT going off the upright by Tomlinson, we'd be at the same exact score we were back in week 1. That was 35-10, the win for the Friars.
Absolutely deja vu. What a shout out both these St. Anthony's running backs having a tremendous day. Frank Ruda has 10 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown. On the flip side, Morant, 13 carries, 98 yards and a touchdown. So almost 200 yards of production and 2 touchdowns out of those guys. Seniors really looking to make some great memories for their last time playing here at Cy Donnelly Field.
How about, let's take a look at the season that St. Anthony's has had, and man, have they run the gamut. It started with that 35-10 win over Chaminade, that crazy loss to St. Joe's 63-49 out at Rutgers, and then this has been really where the season, I think, turned for the better for St. Anthony's, because you go on the road and you go to the Lions then and you beat Farrell. Then you go up to Mara Field and you beat Iona. You go to the rooftop across the field from Yankee Stadium, you beat Cardinal Hayes. You come back home finally, you beat Fordham and Christ the King, and then the one that you needed to get on the road, under the lights, out in White Plains, a crazy 27-21 win over Stepanak. And again, that was a game that decided not only the 1 seed, but also then the 3 seed for the loser. And as we just saw, right, Stepanak had to go to Iona, and Iona gets the win.
Could be the difference right there. Yeah, and I think St. Anthony should be real proud about the way that they're able to handle that away slate. Real challenging. You see them having to go to Farrell, to Iona Prep at a time where Iona Prep was coming off a huge win versus Bosco, outright number 1 ranked team in New York State, number 1 team in New York or New Jersey, and St. Anthony says, oh, whoa, what about us? And they've really held on to that first position all throughout, and are hoping to make an emphatic statement ahead of their AAA showdown versus Iona Prep next week.
Injured Flyer on the field. Good to see that he is up. And yeah, it certainly looks and feels like St. Anthony's will be back into the AAA championship game. It's been a while, especially by St. Anthony's standards. You have to go back, Pat, to 2017 when they lost to Stepinac in the championship game 47-22. That was their last time in the AAA championship.
And, you know, that really rubs at these guys. There's a reason why you come to South Huntington to go to high school and to play football, and that's to try and compete on these weekends, on the biggest stages in all of New York State. And, you know, St. Anthony's hasn't been there in a while. This team really set out to change things and reset the course, and they're doing a hell of a job at that.
Chaminade, 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line. Diegues back to pass. Under pressure. Rolls it out, and he'll tuck it under, get out of bounds. But you mentioned sort of when you're wearing this St. Anthony's jersey, you're also playing, you represent the history, right, of the team, the guys who wore those jerseys before you, and a remarkable championship history for St. Anthony's. You talk about 14 AAA championships. Last one coming in 2013, that went over Chaminade. A 14-0 win in 2011. They went 2011, 10, and 9, beating Stepinac, Iona, and Trinity. And then you also had those consecutive. They went from 2001 to 2007 as the champions. There goes Diegues. Finds a receiver. Fantastic job. Broken tackle as well. There's Gavin Creo. And he'll bounce it out of bounds.
Creo does a really good job here. You'll see Diegues with a relatively clean pocket, steps up. And he loves throwing on the run, deploying that sidearm, and finds his favorite target, number 24.
We mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Gavin Creo's future is at Richmond on the lacrosse field. Diegues goes far side. The intended target there was Chaminade, Matthew Chaminade, the junior. Chaminade with 4 receptions for 99 yards coming in to this game.
You know, we've been talking a lot about Gavin Creo. Just saw 7 catches for 103 yards in the day so far for him. Really showing why he's been that trusted safety blanket all year long for Diegues.
2nd and 5 from the 8. Diegues rolls out, looks for options, slings it towards the end zone. I think it got deflected there, and pretty safe to guess. Whenever you see a deflected ball, it feels like defensively Ian Strong's mitts are all over it.
That guy has probably a 6'9" wingspan, seems to just get his hands on everything. And I think that's 2nd tip ball in the day for Strong.
So the Chaminade JV came here to Cy Donnelly Field, and they beat St. Anthony's earlier in the day. And the Flyer faithful were hoping for a repeat of last week when the JV and the varsity both earned last-second wins over Kellenberg. Not looking likely at this point. Tully off the handoff. Oh, DiChiero.
I love him because he's just your prototypical inside linebacker. Such quick instincts flying up to fill this gap, and Tully didn't have a chance. Now a major 4th down situation, 4th and 3, and looks like Chaminade's going to keep their offense out on the field.
4th and 3 from the 8-yard line, inside 4 minutes left in this 3rd quarter. Crowd here at Cy Donnelly Field getting loud. They want a stop. Diegues back to pass, slings it, end zone.
Looks
incomplete. Or no, it was caught at the 1.
And who else, right, but Gavin Creo doing the tiptoe job right there on the sideline. Hell of a job for his 8th catch of the game. And he's going to give his team 4 downs to punch us in.
Small window, man.
Oh, and that's about as close as it gets. His feet were in the end zone, ball just behind that goal line.
And you know what, too? He created the separation for himself, right? Pushed off of Platt. Wasn't called. That's fine. And turned back in, was able to make the catch. So first and goal from the 1 now for Chaminade. Diegues, he'll get the push from behind, and he'll get in the end zone for the touchdown. Diegues, his second rushing touchdown of the season.
You know, good to see Chaminade be able to capitalize these last couple drives, walk away with touchdowns rather than field goal attempts. And right here, that's just one of the best plays in the world to call.
Did you see Francesa, too, behind? Like pushing the sled, right? You see that? Let's see if we can get another look at that.
Reminiscent. I'm going to date myself a little bit, but that reminded me of some Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush action in South Bend back in 05.
Oh, man, Tomlinson's having a tough day. Here we go again. Watch 88 here. There he goes. Push that sled. Get him in the end zone. Attaboy, Jack. Take a break here at Cy Donnelly Field. 35-15, the score, 2:46 left, third quarter. You're watching this Catholic Football League showdown presented by Maspeth Federal Savings Bank on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
At Catholic Health, when we see our island, we see extraordinary life. The most extraordinary of which is you. It's because our Catholic faith places the highest value on people. All people. It's the inspiration for our exceptional medical care with unmatched compassion. And it's why at Catholic Health you're more than a patient. You're someone's family, best friend, and a neighbor to us all. Long live Long Island.
We welcome you back to Cy Donnelly Field. Dylan Butler and Pat Godfrey with you. Final 2:46 of this third quarter. And it's St. Anthony's with a 35-15 lead over their rivals, Chaminade. Tomlinson, this kickoff will go in the end zone, so it'll be a touchback. We're going to have 3 big games coming up next weekend. It is Championship Saturday from Mitchell Athletic Complex. Still a few matchups, or really 2 matchups we don't quite know yet, but you see there the AA2. That'll be 11 a.m. We do know that Mount St. Michael has booked their spot. Xavier is playing Kennedy Catholic as we speak. AA1, we know that one. It's the top 2 seeds. It's Holy Trinity and Moore Catholic. That'll be the middle game at 2, and we know that Iona is awaiting the winner of this one in the Big Boy Championship, the AAA, at 5 o'clock, all 3 games right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
And, you know, Dylan, it's not a coincidence that that weekend falls just before Thanksgiving, because it's a great reminder of us all that we need to be thankful for, the ability to sit down on a Saturday and watch football for 9 hours straight.
I'll be standing up. I'm not sure about it. Darius Morant on the run on first down. And we were saying it earlier, but Joe Minucci, in one of our, I think it was ahead of our Fordham Prep game, he was saying about how important it was for his team, another high snap. Torres fields it, cuts inside, cuts it back outside, and just scrambles it out of bounds. But one of the things that he was saying was it was important at this time of the year. You never know, right? Weather could be a factor. We have to establish the run game. And you've got to say, from like that Fordham Prep game on, they've made a real concerted effort to rush the football, and they've done it well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, people get really enamored by the receiving threats within this St. Anthony's offense, but really what makes it all so effective, what allows Dante Torres to be so efficient, is the fact that you have those 2 running backs in the backfield and Ruda and Morant really just taking a huge load and being very successful.
Torres, look out, man is chasing him, does get it off, and amazingly finds Duff. Duff gets a block upfield, and he gets it out to the 50, and this is one of what things that makes St. Anthony so good. That was a sack. That was a sack at like the 10-yard line, and then everyone else starts doing their job. A big block by Ian Strong up the field, and then KJ Duff does what he does, and it's the reason why so many college coaches are so enamored with him.
You just got to love Dante Torres, so communicative back there, able to find his target, and then Ian Strong pitching in on the blocking side.
And now Darius Morant pushes forward, and when you give up a play like that and then Morant comes back and runs it right up the middle, it really deflates a defense.
Incredibly draining, and one thing that really hurts when you're playing against St. Anthony's is a lot of these plays aren't your typical 3-4 second play. If you're a defensive lineman, you're in pursuit for 10 seconds, on a Dante Torres pretty often. And that takes a lot out of the gas tank once you get down into the third and fourth quarters.
Torres positioned at the 45-yard line, fakes the handoff, goes over the middle. Spinning is KJ Duff, eluding a tackle. KJ Duff! He stretched out, lost the football, and they're calling a touchdown.
Touchdown, Friars. KJ Duff would not be denied.
KJ Duff here. I talked earlier about his physicality, and you see it on display right here. He's a thin guy, but boy, does he run with a lot of power. And once you saw that black in the end zone, nothing was going to stop him from getting in. Outstretched arm just barely crosses the goal line. And kind of an exclamation point right there.
Amazing stuff by KJ Duff.
See what you did there.
Didn't even mean to run there. I really didn't.
Sorry, just pick up on dad jokes, whether you realize it or not. KJ Duff so far tonight, 5 catches for 107 yards. And, just really putting on display why he has so many different Power 5 programs calling up, anxious to get this recruit out of South Huntington.
The extra point efforts for both teams struggling right now. That was Lambros missing, but KJ Duff certainly did not. 41-15 the score, 1:11 left in the third quarter. You're watching this Catholic AAA semifinals showdown presented by Maspeth Federal Savings Bank on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Maspeth Federal Savings is here through it all. The ins and outs, the ups and downs. Through the winters, the summers, and even the spring of leaks. Know that Maspeth has your back. From luxury sheets to balance sheets to dancing under the stars, your mission is our mission. And when our community calls, we proudly step forward. So whether you need it now or planning for tomorrow, through all the twists and all the turns, you can always find us right here in your neighborhood.
Welcome back to South Huntington. Long day here for us at the Varsity Media Sports Network. My broadcast partner, Pat Godfrey, and I, we were in Hicksville earlier today for the AA1 semifinal game between Holy Trinity and Fordham Prep. The Titans winning that one. Now the Friars trying to get themselves back in the AAA championship game. As we mentioned before, Holy Trinity and Moore Catholic. Top 2 teams in the AA1 are ready to do battle on championship Saturday.
Been really impressive to watch both of those programs make the jump from AA2 into AA1 this year and really not skip a beat. Moore Catholic and Holy Trinity obviously met for the AA2 title last year, with Holy Trinity coming away victorious. But I think those boys from Staten Island are going to have something to say, hopefully change the narrative this time around.
Cerrone in motion. Diegues goes the other way. He sees number 5, and that's 5-on-5 violence right there as Strong makes the tackle.
And by the way, Dylan, over the top right there, that wasn't Bo Jackson. That was big number 99, 6'5", 275, jumping over the pile. Just crazy seeing somebody that big move like that.
And we will see him move like that for a couple of years to come as well, man. Just, albeit a big one, still a puppy. Number 99, Preston Carey. 2nd and 8, final minute of this third quarter. That's complete, and now Ian Strong goes to the other side of the field and throws down Gavin Creo. He'll move the chains, though, for Creo in the final 10 seconds of this third quarter.
Gavin Creo going to play at Richmond for lacrosse next year, but boy, has he been productive within this Chaminade offense. I believe it's either his 9th or 10th catch on the day as we head to the fourth quarter.
We do head to the final 12 minutes as St. Anthony's looking to book their spot in the AAA championship game. 12 minutes remaining. You're watching this Catholic Football League showdown presented by Maspeth Federal Savings right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Let me tell you something. If tomorrow wasn't promised, what would you give for today? Forget everything else. Forget everything else. Forget that there was any sunlight left. What would you spend today thinking about? Yourself or the man that's beside you? Or the man that you know you'll give everything in your heart for? We get one opportunity in life, one chance in life to do whatever you're gonna do, to lay your foundation, to make whatever mark you're gonna make, whatever legacy you're gonna leave your legacy. And it's found through effort. Wins and losses come a dime a dozen. But effort, nobody can judge effort. Because effort is between you and you. Effort ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
Welcome back to St. Anthony's, and Diegues goes downfield and finds big play Pat Bruno for a completion, first play of this fourth quarter.
Diegues doing a good job here. You know, St. Anthony's not too concerned about the rushing attack from the Flyers. They're dropping people back into coverage, but the senior's still dicing up that secondary.
Diegues chased by Carey and pushed out of bounds by Ian Strong.
You know, we talked about battling through adversity going into this game. If you're Chaminade, they've certainly had their fair share of adversity, but I'm definitely impressed with the ability of this offensive attack to keep coming out series after series, make positive gains on St. Anthony's, and keep fighting.
Diegues again chased off his back foot, and that is complete. Man, we've seen quarterbacks just get out of really tough, both quarterbacks get out of really tough situations. And actually they're saying it was an incomplete pass. You be the judge.
That looks like a catch to me right there, but I'm not wearing black and white. Matt Diegues has just been a real pro back there, extending a lot of plays, keeping his eyes downfield, kind of keeping this St. Anthony's secondary honest. He likes to get right up to the line of scrimmage before he lets go of that ball.
3rd and 6, twin receivers at both the top and bottom of your screen. There goes Diegues, and again slings it. That is out of bounds. Brings up 4th down for the Flyers.
I'd expect to see Coach Dolan going for it in this situation. 10:43 on the clock, and Chaminade looking to keep some life in their season.
Dolan, in our conversation leading up to this game, was hoping that inclement weather that ended up pushing this game from Friday to Saturday would have continued for the whole season. He said, the whole weekend, said it could not have been windy or rainy enough for us, because you could maybe take away a big portion of what St. Anthony's wants to do by going in the air that way.
This time around, Mother Nature doesn't fully cooperate. A beautiful night at Cy Donnelly Field.
4th and 6. Diegues. Nice move by Diegues. Tries to stretch forward. It was DiChiaro with the tackle at the 30.
This one's going to be tight, too, right at the line to gain.
And they will give them the first down. Thought they maybe would get a measurement here, but
really good job by Diegues, too, knowing exactly where that first down marker is.
Stretch forward to get those final inches that he needed. 1st and 10 from the 30. It's Tully trying to follow his blocker, and DiChiaro again. This dude has been everywhere.
And he's just got one of those great middle linebacker names, right? Jojo DiChiaro flying up. And those are 2 syllables we've been calling all night, as 44 has been very active.
Now listen, he's been a tremendous leader, one of the captains. Set a really good example for younger players, smart, physical, those feet always moving for Jojo DiChiaro.
Oh, really nice play.
Mackle comes in with the TFL.
Mackle's had himself a big night, had the interception off the tip ball earlier. They're flying through for the TFL. And, you know, he's a guy who really worked his tail off this offseason to show up as just a different athlete. He's 6'2", 230, put some great weight on. Muscular dude, and flying into the backfield for St. Anthony's.
3rd and 9, empty backfield for Diegues. And again, he's got to scramble. Diegues slings it. Oh, and what a catch.
Caught on the sideline.
Number 26, John Carroll right there for Chaminade with a great catch. Tiptoeing the sideline. His father is actually a Chaminade grad as well, who played for Lou Holtz at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So it's certainly in the family bloodlines, and they're just doing a great job. Field awareness, knowing where you're at, and boom, gets that toe down.
Joseph Carroll, an assistant coach on the JV team as well. 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. Diegues slings it back of the end zone. That is incomplete, and a late flag against what would appear to be the Friars.
You know, this is a catch you usually see Gavin Creo make, as they call that PI on St. Anthony's. And, you know, kind of questionable some of the calls that have gone Chaminade's way over the last couple series, but this one especially. I did not see a ton of early contact on Gavin Creo. You'll see, looks pretty simultaneous to me, but sometimes when you're up by a lot, the officials are going to give that one to Chaminade. Jaden Jenkins, victim there.
So 1st and goal from the 6 for Chaminade. Can they capitalize on that pass interference? Off the back foot, that's an incomplete pass by Diegues.
2nd and goal.
Diegues a year ago split time with Tom Stuber in that run to the AA1 championship. Diegues, one of his best skills is that ability to extend plays. We've seen that certainly tonight, right? Whether it's running or kind of just flicking the ball down the field. This year he's kind of spent a lot of time trying to be that more technical quarterback where he's staying in the pocket. He's trying to go through his reads. And about 3 weeks ago, Coach Dolan for Chaminade said, listen, man, just trust your instincts. You've got it. You've got us here because of the QB that you are. And we've seen a different Matt Diegues down the stretch of the season.
Really nice play right there.
Griffin Goldstein with the sack. And Goldstein, interesting here, too, for St. Anthony's because he's filling the role of a Dante Vidaro as Chaminade calls timeout. Goldstein was the starter at the beginning of the year, And then Vidaro came in, and he made so many big plays, right? We saw that sack at the end of the Iona game. That was Dante Vidaro. He had a big sack at the end of the Hayes game. He got injured in that Stepanak game. So you know what? Opportunity knocks, right, for Griffin Goldstein. He comes in, and there you see what he's done back in as a starting linebacker.
And he's another guy who's kind of a dynamic contributor for the St. Anthony's team. He also assumes the kicking duties in that element of the game. So number 22 really making a mark here. St. Anthony's, you could tell their sideline buzzing. These guys can sense that they're only about 7 minutes and 42 seconds away from punching their trip to Mitchell Field in another AAA title game.
Well, we have an opportunity. Let's take a look at how Chaminade got here to this game and their season. And their story of the season started with those 3 losses: St. Anthony's, Paramus Catholic, and Stepanak. Then it's time to circle the wagons. Who are we going to be? Where are we going with this season? Big win over Cardinal Hayes, and you see that kind of started things going. They lost to Iona, but then that big win over Kellenberg, that season-changing win over Cardinal Hayes at Gold Star Stadium. Diegues, under pressure, slings it towards the end zone, incomplete.
Diegues under pressure.
And you can see the sort of the difference, right, in terms of the seasons, right, where it's St. Anthony's largely outside of that St. Joe's loss, they've been able to respond each game, and Chaminade struggled, and it's 0-3, and they're playing an 0-3 Hayes team, right? And that was a game we had for you in the Varsity Media Sports Network, and a big response from Chaminade in that game, which then got them going and got a solid string of games for the Flyers.
Yeah, turned their season in the right direction, had a lot of close, big wins. And, you know, Chaminade, I think, is a much more mature team than who we watched play earlier on this season at Cy Donnelly Field.
4th and 17. That Diegues pass is incomplete. So a turnover on downs, and St. Anthony's will have the ball, and 7:20 remaining, and the Friars certainly feeling it. Getting closer to what they hope is another berth in the championship game for a St. Anthony's team we mentioned before, 14-time AAA champions.
And, you know, it's times like these in the game where Coach Joe Minucci is so happy to have Darius Morant and Frank Ruda give the ball to your running backs. Let them try and bring this one home.
Low snap. Torres takes it himself, goes to the outside. He is pushed out of bounds, but another big part of Dante's game. One thing that we've seen this year, I think, and look, we did some of the big games last year where St. Anthony's fell short. Home losses to Iona and Stepanak, games that they had leads in as well. And we've seen the maturation, right, of a Dante Torres from that experience as a junior, getting so much better, understanding the reads, understanding the game situations so much better as a senior as opposed to a year ago.
No doubt, no doubt. And I think one other thing that's really impressed me about St. Anthony's all year long has just been that killer instinct. They're a team who notoriously would not be able to finish games last year, and they've kind of put those rumors to bed.
Those
this
demons,
year.
right?
All those demons to bed, absolutely. And especially because of the play of Dante Torres, his ability to kind of extend drives, and even just the running that we've seen on this drive. Such an incredible facet of his game.
Torres, the keeper. You see the flag on the play as well. And one interesting note that we heard from Kevin Dolan kind of coming in is that Dante Torres, as you see the penalty coming against St. Anthony's, a holding penalty, but he starts out at about 7.5 yards back, right, from center. And most quarterbacks in the high school game, at least in the Catholic Football League, you kind of start with that 5 yards behind. And I didn't notice it before. I think it's an interesting observation by Coach Dolan. Obviously, he studied so much film of St. Anthony's season, but it does a few different things, right? It gives Dante that extra second, maybe that extra 1.5 seconds that he needs to find maybe one of those receivers or allow them to get an extra opportunity. It allows his offensive lineman maybe to block a little bit more and to have him then read a situation as we've seen here. And when nothing is there for receivers, go and run the football.
Exactly. You know, he's been so creative back there. I think that 7-yard start or so that he usually lines up and gives him a little bit more time. And then, you know, we've talked about the different weapons on the outside. Every second that Dante Torres can stay alive back there is another opportunity for a KJ Duff, for an Ian Strong, for a Kenyon Miles to get open. And we've seen that happen time and time again all year long.
Another holding penalty against St. Anthony's. Seems like the final 5:29 here of this game is going to take a while.
Yeah, there's been a good bit of intervention from the Zebras in this second half, but we'll see. Potentially they could leave their flags in the pocket as St. Anthony's looks to run this one down.
Handoff up the middle, and a short gain there. You go back for St. Anthony's at really their first, I mean, obviously it's a rivalry win against Chaminade in week 1, but their first big win, you would argue, was in week 4, right, at Iona, because, again, you talk about those demons that they had to exercise. Well, they lost at home to Iona Prep, then you go to the playoffs, and they lose in that double overtime thriller, or a nightmare, really, for them. And that's how their season ended. So they go back to the place that their season last year ended, and they beat the Gales 48-42. A game where, man, those two teams just threw haymakers at each other. As here comes Morant somehow finding daylight, and he pushes forward. He doesn't get the first down because of those penalty flags, but a big gain there for Darius Morant.
Yeah, and, you know, only St. Anthony's is going to pull a 2nd and 26 into a 3rd and 2 on the ground, making it look easy right there. And Darius Morant had just proven time and time again tonight, if you give him a crease, he's going to hit it hard, and he's going to get the most out of it.
And that game, I remember it so vividly at Mara Field. It was Ajani Shepherd scrambling like he does so well for Iona, looking to make that final play for the Gales. And it was Dante Vidara with the last-second sack, which allowed St. Anthony's to win that game, as there's a first down run by Morant. And that opened a lot of eyes because, again, right, if you go by this kind of reasoning, it was an Iona Prep. They beat an Iona Prep team that beat Don Bosco Prep, right, on the road.
I mean, you know, you can usually throw out the rankings. They're typically worthless, but there was a time this season where Iona Prep was the #1 ranked team on Max Preps in New York State and New Jersey, and that was a time that St. Anthony's came in and won at Iona Prep. So I think St. Anthony's has a claim, really, to being the top team in the Northeast this year. Another wrinkle that we haven't mentioned yet tonight is, you know, the last time that St. Anthony's made it and won a AAA title, there wasn't this opportunity for a unified state championship game. So that's another thing that's on the line for them this year, to be able to bring it together and say, not only are we the Catholic League champions, but we're the state champions.
And a knee there by Torres right at midfield. Final 2:22. And you're right. You know, in all the championships, the 14 AAA championships, the last one was in 2013 before you opened up this opportunity of a state championship, which is what Iona won a year ago. We've seen Stepanak and Cardinal Hayes win that championship in St. Anthony's. You know, we're not trying to get too ahead of ourselves, but you're right. It's that extra game, that next opportunity for guys like this to play, but they are facing a dangerous team, a team with a championship pedigree next weekend in Iona Prep.
Absolutely. Iona's, you know, the reigning state champs, and it's not going to be easy to knock them off that top title spot. But St. Anthony's has the unique opportunity of doing something this year that's never been done before at St. Anthony's. Such an incredible history behind this program. And these guys really have a great claim to adding to that list of great Friar teams to come through South Huntington.
And Iona Prep will go there, an angry bunch, man, looking for revenge. It'll be the top 2 seeds in the AAA. We've got the top 2 seeds in AA1 as well. We haven't got a Xavier score, but should Xavier win, we'll get the top 2 seeds in AA2 as well. So it appears that all those teams expected to make championship Saturday at Mitchell Athletic Complex will do just that.
Say what you want about a chalky bracket, but ultimately, in my eyes, all you can ask for is the best 2 teams in this league out there next Saturday at 5 o'clock on Mitchell Field. And I think that's what we're going to get. You know, on paper, these teams are as talented as anybody in the country. And the last time we saw them, it was a classic. I don't know why you'd expect anything different next week.
I'd actually argue, and again, you go back to last season, as now the team's getting ready to line up, you'd argue that the last 3 matchups at least have been instant classics, right? The game we had here where Iona came back and beat St. Anthony's, then double overtime in the semifinals last year, and then the 48-42 game in the regular season. They just play instant classics, those two.
Like, I don't care if you watch high school football normally. If you're a football fan in general, you need to be tuned in at 5 o'clock to that AAA title showdown, because you know it's the type of game where I think we're going to look back 5-6 years from now and say, oh my gosh, look at the NFL talent that was on that field, in the AAA title. It's going to be fun.
And there you see it. The top 2 seeds are there. St. Anthony's, Iona Prep. They'll get it on at 5 o'clock at Mitchell Athletic Complex, and we will have that for you on the Varsity Media Sports Network. So the teams lining up, doing the traditional handshake. Listen, we talked about the rivalry and how fiercely these 2 teams play, but there is an intense amount of respect between these 2 programs, and you see that in a situation like this on the handshake line.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, all these guys have immense respect for one another, know how hard the other side works, know how great of schools both these institutions are, and hey, in the Catholic League, all these guys share that relationship with the Lord. They know who they're thanking for getting to play tonight, so great to see this sportsmanship on display.
Take a quick break, and we'll get our player of the game with John Perez when we return. It was St. Anthony's advancing 41-15. You're watching this Catholic Football League showdown presented by Maspeth Federal on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
a clash of styles out in Setauket. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring.
Welcome back to Cy Donnelly Field, 41-15, the final score. St. Anthony's with the victory, and we've got our John Perez on the field with one of the players of the game, Ian Strong.
Ian Strong, the St. Anthony's Friars are going to the final. I know work is not yet.
I feel amazing. Last home game forever for all the seniors, and we came out with a win. It feels amazing.
Now, can you talk about that sequence you had? You had the bat down pass that led to the interception, and then a touchdown just a couple of minutes later. What's going through your mind?
That felt amazing. Coach Minucci said we need someone to make a play, so I executed, tapped it up to Thomas Mackel. He caught it, and then we went on offense. We scored, so we're just going to keep rolling.
Looked like this game was won in the trenches, too. What can you say about your line?
Yeah, offensive line played great, led by Coach Brady. They dogged it out all game. Darius and Frank, I don't even know how much they had, but they were running hard.
You got Iona Prep next week. How excited are you?
I'm excited. Mitchell Field, we played them already. It was a close game, so we're going to come out, battle, and come out on top.
That's a very happy Ian Strong. St. Anthony's going to the finals. Guys, we'll send it back up to you.
Thanks, John, and congratulations to Ian Strong and the Friars. 41-15 winners. And you see the offensive stat line by Ian Strong was so involved defensively as well. We don't often see guys play on both sides of the football for St. Anthony's because you don't have to, right? A lot of times in high school football, you do that because you don't have the numbers. St. Anthony's certainly doesn't have that problem. Ian Strong does that because of how good an athlete he is.
Yeah, first guy I can remember in a long time who's gotten to do that. And, he's just like a Jabril Peppers out there. Kind of whatever you need him to do will get done. We saw an incredible touchdown catch in that first half. And then, he was active all over the field, as he always is, on the defensive side of the football.
So the championship games are set. And here's your schedule for next Saturday at Mitchell Athletic Complex. We start with the AA2 championship. Mount St. Michael against, we don't know yet, Xavier or Kennedy Catholic. That game is currently happening at Aviator Sports Complex. AA1 championship pits the top 2 seeds. It is Fordham Prep losing. It is Holy Trinity, who beat Fordham, playing Moore Catholic. Both teams played in championship games a year ago. Holy Trinity played the AA2. Moore Catholic lost to Chaminade in the AA1 championship. And then the big one, the AAA championship, 5 o'clock. Under the lights at Mitchell Athletic Complex, it is the second-seeded Gales of Iona Prep, the defending champions against the top-seeded Friars of St. Anthony's. All 3 games right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. That'll do it here for us. Our terrific crew, of course, executive producer Ben Turchin, our technical director extraordinaire, Chris Sweeney. Of course, our halftime report and stats as well, the great John Baccio. Our guys bring you all those moving images, Ron Pierre, Angelo Caezo, and Travis DeLuise. Our A-team, my broadcast partner as well, Pat Godfrey, Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next Saturday from Mitchell Athletic Complex.